kind of nice to have an interview on an afternoon. I usually do these in the mornings on Thursdays, but I really wanted to get you on, and I know that you're so busy, and I'm really appreciative of you taking the time to be with me here today, Liana. You guys, I met Liana, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago through Deb Geschel of Message Artist, who said, hey, you want to get together with some like kind of cool women and collaborate on a project to help other women or other people? And I'm like, well, tell me more. So we ended up having, of course, a Zoom meeting with Liz Solar and Liana and Deb Geschel, and kind of just brainstorming as people do, especially now. We're like, what do people need right now? What do they need? And each of us, the way we're 4 people on a Zoom call, right? So it was like the 4 corners. And I keep having this visualization of 4 quadrants, right?
Yeah.
Like the project and the messaging and the communication of the idea. And then, of course, on the digital marketing, how do you get it out in the world? And to be able to get those 4 ideas to kind of come like into the middle of our Zoom visualization and say, yeah, let's package this up and see if we can't show up. And I mean, everybody's got to do their part right here. I have a yogi friend who's sewing masks like crazy, getting better and better and more creative with it, with applique and everything. And everybody's doing their thing these days. And so I'm really excited. So a quick announcement, next Tuesday at 1:00 is Hope and Help for Small Businesses, and it's going to be featuring the people that I just mentioned, and I will put the link in the show notes for this. And another quick thing, this didn't go live on Facebook like I had hoped, but if you're listening to this in the next day or so, tomorrow morning, Wednesday morning, Jennifer Gullbrand has made the webinar that I was going to give tomorrow. Get more email opens with great subject lines. It's one of my favorites because it's fun and it's interesting and it's relevant. So that's going to be tomorrow at 10:30, and it's going to be free. So check the link in the show notes for that too. And in the meantime, now that my commercials are done, I get to do the good stuff, which is introduce you guys to my new friend, Liana. And let me tell you what her official bio says. Says Liana has spent the past 20 years of her career working in different sections of the healthcare industry, and mostly in the Boston, Massachusetts, and Providence, Rhode Island areas. She has a background in public health, systems, and social services, and her background was built through work in the private and public sector. She's passionate about developing healthy business models built for sustainability. So you guys, this is what I noticed. And of course, this is why I wanted her to come speak to you today, because you guys know that I'm like, I got an idea. I have another idea. Let me do this idea. And Liana is like, whoa, shh, systems. I love that. She does hold a master's in public health from Boston University and an MBA from Simmons College. She enjoys using her skills to help mission-driven organizations and small businesses achieve their goals. When I asked Liana, what is your superpower? She said, it's putting people at ease when there's a crisis. I'd love to start there, Liana. Like, what does that mean for you?
So thank you so much for having me. This is such a fun conversation. For me, that means helping people realize that we don't have to panic. Yes, there are difficult situations. Yes, we don't love the facts of what we're dealing with, but we can bring some calm to the situation, and that seems to be something that works well for me. And I also find myself doing that during this stage as we talk about moving from disruption as a result of the coronavirus to being open for business. So it's very funny because Deb, who introduced us, often says that I can be both a calm voice and a voice of reason. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure that it is deliberate, but it's just my approach tends to be, okay, let's figure out how we're going to get through this. And we get to control the narrative of our own stories and our businesses. And so one way to do that is to start from a place of hope that we're going to get back to open for business. Yes, we're disrupted. Yes, we're, wearing face masks all the time now. We are going to get back to some new version of our lives and be able to see each other and have some success in all of our efforts.
So that sounds wonderful. Gives me hope. What does that look like? Like, what are you finding out in your parts of your life with businesses? What are the struggles that people are having, and what are you seeing? Oh, if they would only do blah blah blah, right? Or what is it that you're seeing would help people
Sure.
right now?
So one of the things I'm noticing, whether it's about people's just the risk of going back out into the world or kind of managing their staff through this disruption, is there's this initial wave of panic. There's an initial, my team asked me this, and I don't know if we're going to be able to do that sort of project. I don't know if we're going to be able to do that sort of event. I'm afraid to go back to work where I'll be exposed to people. So, and I think it's pretty obvious even as I just gave those examples, you can hear the emotion. We're starting from a place of emotion, and those are all very real. They're real information for us to use in getting to the plan. So for me, as you said, I kind of like to break it down, bring it back to what are we trying to do here. So we're seeing people stray into the emotion and away from, okay, we plan to open up a business. We plan to do a consulting gig. We plan to have a coffee shop. We plan to start, making a line of clothing. But with all that's going on with the virus, it's very easy to get just scattered into the emotional part of this. So identifying the emotions and then identifying what we wanted to do, sort of making sure we're keeping that in check. Sometimes the emotions are going to get in the way. So if we don't acknowledge them and we don't understand what's driving them, then we miss out on working on those goals and identifying where we want to get to, how we want to start to draw the roadmap, if you will, toward where we want to go.
Well, I think that's important. I know we've used that word roadmap a few times in our conversations, and I think that's the key, because I know I myself, again, shiny objects, I get distracted and go off the road a lot. But when I am brought, and that's why I like to collaborate, because even with this group or other people that I'm collaborating with, it brings you back to the road. You're like, oh, right, this is the next thing we have to do. We have to have a meeting, and this is what's going to be on the agenda.
Yeah.
Many of the people that are in the Rise Above Noise group or that I interact with are small business owners. Many of them are solopreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm finding there's probably 3 camps right now. There's the solopreneurs who, whatever their business is like so busy right now, they can barely keep their eyes on the road because there's just fires everywhere and opportunities everywhere. Mm-hmm. I'm not so worried about those people, right? It's time, it's stress, it's that. Then there are the people who everything came to a screeching halt, and they're at a point now where they're trying to figure out I don't even know where the road is anymore. Like the road got taken right out from under me. Yeah. And then the third camp of people, actually, when I said 2, but then I thought about a lot of the people that I'm talking to these days, because I do work with a lot of women entrepreneurs, is that they had to kind of take things and pack it away for a little while, because once again, the childcare and the teaching has fallen again. I think a lot of people are co-parenting more, like that as well. But it does still seem to be that people are putting it on a back burner. So we could talk about the moms who are just trying to get through being in quarantine with their kids. But let's talk about the solopreneurs who think things have just kind of stopped, and they don't know what to do next. Do you have any advice for somebody like that?
Yeah. Yeah, I really like how you broke it down into the three categories because I think, yes, there's the folks for whom this was all opportunity, and then the folks for whom this was wiping the opportunities off the plate. And then there are people who, a lot of folks in the middle who have caregiving roles of some sort or another, who even if they could still, it's a Venn diagram to some extent. Some of them still lost all their opportunities and now they really are focused on the caregiving. And then the others are trying to juggle and not sleeping a lot while they caregive and still make sure that they don't lose those new customers who came running to them. So I think each of those groups needs some thoughtful time. And I tend to just pick up a scrap of paper. Sometimes it's a Post-it note. I've got one here I cover with ideas. But I think the first thing is it doesn't take a lot of time to start to identify the details, and you can take 5 minutes or you can take 5 hours or 5 days to sort of map out your plan. So let's start with the folks who I think most people are most worried about, the folks whose opportunities just dried up because their work is in person.
Mm-hmm.
So first breathe, right? And just say, this is the reality. This is what happened. And my starting point is that I have faith in humanity to recover from this. And I think right now in the midst of it, it's very hard to imagine that people are going to be back out and buying and engaging and hosting events the way they used to, but we will come about. Right now that's very hard to see. So breathe and have some faith in humanity. And first, identify truly what the impacts of the disruption are. Because every business is different. For me, as an independent consultant, who has done a lot of my work in person, the impact for me was that I could no longer have in-person events and I was going to be turning to more online or deferring those events till later in the year. So identify the impacts as, did you lose your vendors? Did you lose your customers? And it's not lose, I think that's probably too strong, but is that what's missing from the equation right now? And what will they be? Well, first identify what the disruption was. Were you not able to get supplies in? Are you not able to have customers coming in the door? Were events canceled? So for the folks who have been completely disrupted, whose businesses have just quieted, understanding what those disruptions are, and then developing an action plan that either adapts to the current online reality or develop an action plan that's contingent on when we can start to open our doors again. So opening our doors again isn't going to look like having large events like craft fairs and conferences. It's going to look like smaller group settings. So develop an action plan that is just, you're going to use your imagination. The nice thing about this is, even though we are in a point of disruption that can feel very dark, for all of these categories of people, it's an opportunity to use our imagination to build what we want to be doing. Some of the impacts of disruption were kind of good because you didn't want to work with that client anyway,
Right.
or your customers were asking for that one thing that's always the most taxing on you. Now is a time that you can refine what your offering is or add new ones. And so you're going to develop an action plan it's a reset. So you get to understand, look, I get to choose where we're going. Sure, there are complete pressures when it comes to staff, when it comes to your suppliers, when it comes to maybe even the venues that you're in. Sure, those are going to be real limiting factors. But the one limiting factor that you can sort of push out of the way is it's not defined. You get to define it. So identify the impacts, based on those impacts and what your goals are, develop an action plan. And then that the last piece of that is implementing that plan. And what I'll say is this morning I was delivering something to an address I'd never been to before, and I plugged in the address into my my GPS on my phone. And it was funny because it made me think of this upcoming conversation, which is there were a few different routes to get to that destination from from my starting point. So I had a choice, but I also had a beginning. I had a very clear starting point, and I had a very clear end point. The next time I need to go deliver something, I'm going to put a different endpoint. So the endpoint can move at my choosing, right? But I need to be clear on where I'm starting, identify that, map out where I'm headed with that action plan, and then get started and move on those steps to that destination. And that's probably applicable to the other two groups as well. They're just different factors, right?
Right. Even the super busy ones have
Absolutely.
to be like, I need to, maybe they need to get a virtual assistant, or they need to hire somebody on their team, or, finally implement one of the software things that they never thought that they could afford before, but was going to make their life so much easier.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or hire somebody to do their email marketing.
Right. Right.
Right.
And sometimes, none of us are doing this alone, even the solopreneurs like myself. We have to build that network, right? Yeah. We have to know, and it helps us vet our ideas. So once you identify the impacts and where you want to go, and you start to map out that action plan, which can be 3 bullet points, or it can be 2 pages of directions, right? Then it might be good for me to come to you, Susan, and say, I'm going to just talk you through this. Tell me what you think. Any other business person is so honored to be asked for that type of advice. And we often think, oh, I don't want to bother her. But in fact, we are such a wealth of support for each other that even if it's, oh, I love it, or, oh, I like that you're doing this because that makes me think you're going to be successful here. We need to hear beyond our own voices about our plans.
Yeah, feedback is so important. We spend too much time in our head.
Yeah.
I have a little mastermind group with just 4 other people. We've been meeting, I think, almost 3 years. In fact, we're meeting today at 3:00. And every time I do something, I'm like, I got to drop it in that group and get their feedback. Mm-hmm. And even if the last one I worked so hard on, it was like it was like my services page, and I had added all the stuff about the email marketing, and I loved it, right? And you look at it and you look at it again. And then even if it's something like, hey, Susan, 3 of your bullets have periods and 2 don't. Like even that, or did you know that you spelled something wrong? Which I'm like, if anybody can catch a spelling error, I am so happy, because I do not abide spelling errors or grammar errors. Yep. Or they'll check a link for me, or they'll say, why? A lot of times this group will say to me, why are you putting so much time into that? That's not really on your goals.
That is excellent.
Right?
Those are the type of people you need around you. Yes.
Thank you, my think tankers.
It makes me think too. So I just like you, like we're idea factories. That's what we are. And for the longest time, I loved the bejesus out of all of my ideas. It was like I'd birthed babies and I had to cultivate them, and getting feedback about them felt like it was like violating the integrity of my beautiful idea baby. But the fact is, I've come to see that our ideas are a lot more like meals. So, we make dinner every day. We make lunch every day. We get through breakfast, and, they nourish us. Every time we eat, it nourishes us. Sometimes it's pretty amazing and beautiful and all that, but you need to get through the meal. We're going to get to the next one. The next idea is going to come. When you're driving and you get this like brainstorm and you're like, not right now, I can't write it down. It's okay if it goes. It may come back again. And so when we get the feedback on our ideas, it helps us shape it into something that will be more sustainable. Whereas if we keep holding on to it and wait until we get the perfect business plan, that's why I say pick up a sticky note if you want. Put down the 3 bullet points of what you want your business to be when we reopen. Here's what I want to be doing in the fall with my business. And just write down 3 bullet points. And then write down another 3 bullet points of what are tasks to get there. And write down another 3 bullet points of, so who do I need to talk to help me get those tasks done? You can break it down into 3s. If you like 4s, do 4s. If you like 5s, great. But the idea is holding on to the idea and hoping and worrying about whether or not, it just doesn't give it room to grow and become what's possible.
So good. I know that you have a trillion things to do. Did you today? And I'm really glad that you carved out some time for us today. You guys, I'm going to put Liana's information in the show notes so that you'll be able to reach out to her directly if you have any ideas. And we invite you to, here, I'll show you guys what it looks like so that you can look for it. I'm a branding person, so.
See, that's where I need your guidance.
For me, it's colors because I don't read as much as I scan. And so it has to be easy for me to scan. So here you guys go. Tuesday, May 12th, 1 o'clock. Hope and help for small business owners. Here's your dream team. And we're going to be talking about ideas to help you and your business emerge from this disruption, like Liana was saying, and do the things, right? So either keep up or plan for the after. I am so sure that on the other side of this is so much abundance and peace and figuring out what our real values were to begin with.
Yeah.
But it is hard. You wear glasses like I do. That mask, oh my God, at the supermarket, and the glass is falling off, and the mask and the steaming is
absolutely. It's just like it's all falling apart from the top too. You know, it's a juggling act, and I think we'll get better at it, but it's going to take a little while.
We will.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Deb. Deb joined us.
Oh, great.
For this. So this was fun. So we'll put this up on Facebook soon. Is there anything else you'd want to say to anybody, or any other action items you want people to take?
Yeah, I will be I'm in the process of developing my website with Deb's help, and that should be coming soon. So if you'd like to stay in touch, I will be putting out some information soon, but feel free to email me. I am doing just one-on-one sort of let's talk and figure out where you need to go sort of sessions, half-hour sessions. So if you email me, I'll send a Calendly link and we can get that on the books.
Sounds so great. Liana, thank you so much for being with me today.
Thanks, Susan.
Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will be talking to you soon.
All right. Take care. Thanks.
Take care. Bye.